Good morning, evening, and afternoon. I am the Prefessional, and in today's video, we are going to be covering leveling tips for the early game of Lost Ark. Focusing on this information will not only help you quickly level up to 50, but it will give you a head start on the in-game content. If you're new here, then welcome. I have more Lost Ark content on my channel and live stream every Tuesday and Thursday. If you want to play or ask me questions in-game, I am on the Kharmine server. My information and socials are down below. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we are covering is the story progression. Your main story quests are labeled with a blue color, and your side quests are labeled as yellow. If you are just trying to hit level 50 as fast as possible, almost every single cutscene and dialogue encounter is completely skippable. Just spam your G key or the escape key for cutscenes and you will bypass the story. I will note, however, that the story is quite interesting and the voice acting is absolutely horrible, but in a funny, good way. You start the game at level 10, and the end game starts once you reach level 50 and discover the capital of Vern. I followed along with the story and did start to feel the grind in a couple areas, but it was rejuvenated with extremely epic story moments. I'm speaking about the Siege, and then the steampunk Final Fantasy Battletoad combination zone. And yes, I know how that last one sounds, but I promise you will understand as soon as you reach that area. When progressing through the story, I've seen lots of people mention about skipping the side quests. I highly advise against this. Unlike other MMOs, the side quests aren't going to take you way off of the path away from your main quest. They are all grouped together. Sometimes the side quest is literally next to the quest giver. Lost Ark also does gathering quests the right way. Say you get a quest to collect 100 broken horn pieces. You slay the first group of mobs, normally grouped in 3 to 5 mobs, and you obtain 34 broken horns. I cannot tell you how refreshing that is. So in order to maximize the XP you're gaining, I'd suggest knocking them all out. Not to mention, it is needed for completing your adventure tome of each area. Speaking of completing quests, every triport that you come across, you need to activate. Using a triport costs a small amount of silver, but is the absolute fastest way to move around the maps. Gather a bunch of quests, head to the areas and complete them. Triport back to turn them all in and grab the next set. Rinse and repeat. While questing and traveling around the map, you will encounter lots of enemy groups scattered between your destinations. Unless you have a specific quest to kill certain mobs, ignore them. Experience gained from regular mob kills is extremely low. You would have to grind thousands of mobs in order to achieve one level, so don't waste your time. The only 2 types of mobs you will want to stop and engage with are enemies with a yellow icon above their head and enemies that appear as a bull icon on the minimap. An enemy with a yellow icon above their head is a special enemy, usually dropping items you need for the adventure tome. You will also notice the occasional icon of a bull's head while running around the map. This is a mini boss and must also be killed to progress your adventure tome. Each adventure zone has a certain amount of these special enemies. You do not need to focus on completing 100% of your adventure tome, as it will be extremely time consuming. This is something you focus on after you finish your in-game quests. However, you do obtain extra experience and roster experience for progressing your adventure tome, which is why I am mentioning stopping for these certain mobs. So, speaking of bosses, each adventure area typically has 1 or 2 world bosses. You will occasionally see people sending messages in the area chat. An example would be, Salt Giant is up, Chapter 8. What does the Chapter 8 mean? If you look up into the top right of your screen, just above the map, you will see chapter and a number. Next to that is a drop-down box. This is your chapter select. Each area is instances multiple times to keep the servers running smoothly. Click the arrow and select the channel you wish to relocate to. If the chapter doesn't appear, that means the chapter is full and cannot support any more players. Continue checking as other players leave and spots can open. While world bosses are not truly beneficial at the leveling stage, it will be beneficial to you in the long run, as they are needed for their cards and completion of the adventure tome. If you're lucky enough to be around when one of them is up, I would highly advise you to take advantage of it instead of trying to hunt them down once you are level 50. So now let's talk about the dungeons that you encounter. Every dungeon, even after level 50, is completely soloable. This includes the hard difficulty modes. While leveling, there is no character benefit to running a dungeon on the hard difficulty, as the rewards and gear are typically replaced fairly quickly. However, My opinion is that running dungeons on the hard difficulty does make the game more enjoyable. The same applies for if you use matchmaking to get a group for the dungeon run. Utilize matchmaking to start experiencing the 4-man dungeons. But if the queue is dragging out for longer than 60 seconds and you're just sitting around twiddling your thumbs, run it solo so it's not holding up your progress. Next, we are going to cover your talents and skills. I personally spent entirely too much time focusing on my skills. None of the story content is difficult. Pick whatever skills you want and try them out. Also, have no fear. You can completely respec whenever you want and it's absolutely free. So grab the skills, try them out, and replace them if you don't like them. Your spec won't matter until you're at the end game and rating. You are also given 2 talent trees for free. Set one of your talent trees that focuses on AoE attacks and set your second talent tree for primarily single target damage. You can switch to the second talent tree when you meet a boss, but 99% of the leveling is clearing large groups of mobs. Now, let's cover gear. You will be leveling quickly, so do not focus on your gear. It literally doesn't matter. If you get new gear and it has a small blue arrow on the item icon, it means that it is an upgrade, so right-click it and put it on. Don't worry about comparing stats. Don't buy stuff off of the market or from vendors. Your old gear or gear that isn't beneficial to you, dismantle it. Open your inventory, click the second to left icon on the bottom left of your bags, and dismantle everything you aren't using. Let's cover healing and battle items. Healing over time potions. These are plentiful and worthless in raids, so use them as much as you want. I threw a bunch of the lower level ones away because I had so many. The healing potions that restore a certain percentage instantly, save these. They are the only healing items that you can use in raids, and they cost materials and gold to make them, so save them all. Battle potions and grenades. Save all of these for raiding. You don't need to use them for the story content. I suggest you keep your healing items in your bags, but when you reach a storage NPC, throw all of your battle items in there. Each one is different, and you can pull what you specifically need for each raid. So let's finish up by talking about cards, rapport items, and engraving chests. Personally, I'd say to take all rapport chests and throw them in your storage. You can really focus on rapport once you're at the end game. Once you're in the end game, you will be focusing on daily and weekly quests, and you will have downtime to complete your adventure tome. Cards. Open all chests and use all the card packs. Completing card sets unlocks bonuses that are active and passive. Don't worry about leveling cards or picking the wrong ones, as they have very little impact until your collection is quite large. Engraving chests are also something that you can throw in your storage until you hit the end game. The reason I suggest this is that engraving doesn't matter until you are focusing on a specific build and faceting gems. Once you know the build you want to run, you will have the books you need and can immediately unlock the engravings you want to focus on. Not to mention, you can also use other engravings for your alts or attempt to sell them for gold. Utilize this knowledge and information in order to quickly breeze through those levels on your way to hitting that soft cap of level 50. Once you hit level 50, that is when the true gear progression starts. I will be covering that in another video. I hope this video helped you out. Show some love by hitting that thumbs up button for me. If there's something you want to mention, leave it down below so we can all benefit. If you'd like to come say hi and ask me any questions, you can do so during my live streams every Tuesday and Thursday here on YouTube and Twitch. Happy raiding, guys.